And we are live. Hello, everyone. Check up. Yeah, sounds on. Hello, everyone. Sorry for that. Welcome to the fifth episode of Blockchain Talks. Today's episode, we will, as per always, analyze a bit the market. Going to see how it's performing. As you guys can see on screen, I'm going to, why not screen? Let my head disappear for a while. Market currently is bleeding red. I promised you guys on Twitter to explain the reasons behind it. Reason is obvious. The hint is actually hidden in the title of this episode, the China Crackdown. However, I want to get deeper into it later on, naturally, on the China Crackdown when it concerns mining. But before I begin, I want to talk a little bit about the current state of the market and naturally make predictions. I also made a promise. I will be showing you guys some additional pointers in order to more correctly predict the market. It's also a lesson I contained in my course Crypto Bull on how not Crypto Bull, my apologies, in Ultimate Guide to Cryptocurrency, wherein I wrote what gives Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies value. It's going to be a trading tip. We'll show you later on. I'm going to say it involves Tether and USD coin. As you can see with the graphs, I will be talking a bit about it. Before I begin, naturally, I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin and its performance. Now, in the last 24 hours, price remains, if I put in an average, relatively stable. I dare say in between the 32,500 and 32K is its current estimated value over 24 hours. However, as you can see, we had a major pullback here with major race once again towards the 33K levels. Currently, we're once again in a little bit of downside. Is it bad? Well, you might say market is stabilizing around the 32K level. We zoom out to a 7-day level. People might expect and might incorrectly predict, yeah, we are in a bear market. As you can see in the last 7 days, the market has been crashing. Same more or less applies to last 14 days. This was a time somewhere last week where I said, all depends on how markets will move, that I would declare it a restart of a bull market if we consistently remain above the level of 40K, or by today, if we hit above the 42,500 USD dollar level, that we might have been in a bull market. However, my other prediction came true, mainly that we are still within range between the 30K and the 40K level, so that we are going sideways. If you do not believe me, well, I implore you guys to simply zoom out, and you see in the last couple of months, well, in last month, we have been in that zone entirely. Becomes even more obvious in the last 90 days. So here's the all-time high, somewhere, yeah, 19th of April. This was in May, and this has been the current case starting somewhere, is it mid-May, we have been going sideways. However, I must admit here the downtrend is quite steep. However, thinking we are still going sideways is just going to be a major dipping point before we retrace back towards the 40K levels. Might be the case we go down furthermore on the 30K levels. However, I have the impression we've got some major support. Looking back here, last 7, I'm going to put it here, 14 days at around the 32K level, made obvious by the sudden bounces back up each time we get underneath it. So my prediction, I believe we are still going sideways. Same applies for my prediction for next week. I'm pretty convinced still going sideways. We will not go below the 32K level or below the 30K level. We will still be trading within range. However, market is being a little bit crazy. Things are going on. So we might see perhaps an even bigger dip occurring here, and perhaps sticking off that 30K dip before, after some time, coming back up towards the 30K levels. What's the reason to this? Well, everything has to do with the China crackdown. They have banned Bitcoin in their own nation, and latest news reports are that mining operations in China are being halted. They are being stopped. There's a tremendous amount of hash rate or security of the blockchain going down. More on that later. First, I want to talk a little bit more about a possible trading indicator, I dare say. I haven't mentioned it in my Crypto Bull course, but I'm going to show you guys. As you can see, we see here a tremendous down on Bitcoin. However, the graph for Tether and USD coin, and you might notice it with other stable coins, but things aren't as stable as they should be. They are highly volatile, they say, and I'm going to take out Tether by reason they have got the highest market capitalization of all stable coins. In my opinion, they are the least trustworthy, but they will nicely serve my point here. So as you can see, everything is expressed in USD dollars. And what do we see here? Well, the average value is circulating at about $1 USD. However, there's quite some volatility going on here. As you can see here, changes 0.2%, 0.3, etc., etc. But on the time basis, there's quite a few percentages. So it's making use of its smart contracts to correct itself towards the correct value. Now, things here are expressed in USD value, and people might say, oh yeah, but the reason why it is as volatile, it has to do with the shifting of the market and its smart contracts being deployed, etc., etc. However, I like to have it expressed in euro. By reason, well, if I put things in euro, the volatility of Tether and the instability of the USD dollar, to which Tether has its value pegged, becomes more obvious. As you can see here, last 24 hours, something is going on. The percentages are much higher. It seemed, well, the last 30 days, the USD dollar has grown in value with 2.3%. Compare it to what Bitcoin has been going through. On average, there is a decent price decrease. Naturally, I did not expect the percentages to be the same because there are multiple of factors. However, due to the increase of value, so the increased purchasing power of the dollar, the value of Bitcoin is slowing down, is going down also. It's one of the parameters upon which, well, the value of a coin or token is based. It has a multitude of factors, the main ones being supply and demand, adoption, so its use, I'm going to say, the frequency of how much is going to be used, the size of transactions, etc. But it is also dependent on the value of the currency with which it is being bought, which implies that the increased value of the US dollar in the last 30 days or in the last month also has an influence on the total value decrease of Bitcoin compared to it. Back to Tether. As you can see, it is in uptick. Why did I want to express it in euro? Well, by reason, things become more obvious. As I told you guys, the Bitcoin in the last 30 days has been going sideways, and it seems in the last week its value has been decreasing. If you compare it here, you see the value of the US dollar was relatively stable up until last week, where its value suddenly started to surge. It's being very volatile. There's a lot of peaks here, but the increase in value also implies, when compared to the 30-day short of Bitcoin. That's the movement we saw here in the last week. So in general, I dare say that the decreasing value of Bitcoin is mainly being motivated currently by the increased purchasing power of the US dollar, as well as the topic of our today's live stream, mainly the China crackdown. That's the main reason why we are slightly bearish and going down as steep and remaining quite long here in bearish market trend, I dare say. So prediction, I'm going to say for next week we are still going sideways. I'm going to put it back in USD dollar. Where is it here? There we go. So we're still going to go sideways in the long term. However, I might see something akin to this prolonged period of being at around the 32K level of value, where it will be continued to be traded. So as you can see, we had an uptick at 6 o'clock, went down again. So yeah, I'm expecting not all too much movement. Just for all active traders here, I'm going to say support 32K level. So put in your shorts at 32K. It is bound that you make profit on it. Resistance at around the 40K level. So within that range, you can trade nicely. Now, let us continue on the China crackdown. That's for later. True. So, as you can see on the numerous articles I've shown here, more on that later, Bitcoin falls 10% as China intensifies crypto crackdown. 2 weeks after China announced it had summoned bank chief to reiterate the ban on providing cryptocurrency services. So, they outright banned Bitcoin in China, and they are now cracking down on a variety of mining companies by having it made illegal, also blocking off access to central exchanges and crypto-related exchanges. So they're really cracking things down. It has been incepted a few weeks ago, and in the last 2 weeks, especially this week, well, they've really been intensively searching for Bitcoin miners, etc., etc. And well, the ban is being outright here. I'm going to close the article. More on that later. So Bitcoin slows further as China tightens crypto crackdown. So once again, that's some FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's happening. Nothing else to say about it. However, there is some good news on the horizon. By reason, this period in time is actually very profitable. Want to say profitable, but is let open with opportunities. By reason, well, as China is cracking down, and I'm going to get into this article here and the tweets I've shown you guys. What was I going to say here? Lost count. You can tell I'm not entirely professional here. Well, professional streamer, that is. So yeah, they're cracking down. Rife with opportunity. By reason, well, at this point in time, we can start debunking a myth that has been, well, steadfast within the cryptosphere. Mainly the myth that China had about 70% of all Bitcoins being mined. So that 70% of all Bitcoins were mined in China. This is proven to be untrue. By reason, well, I did a little breakdown last week, 10th of June. So today's a great day. So Bitcoin was up on the recovery before it crashed down once again. As you can see, 10th of June, commenced the crackdown on Bitcoin mining. That might have tried to counter good news of El Salvador adopting BTC, but failed miserably. Good news on that part. Other countries are following suit with El Salvador. Anyway, so they're cracking down. More articles up from the decision on May 24, which can be found here. You can also see it. Oh, right. Sorry. I'm going to withdraw that one. Just noticed I wasn't sharing my screen entirely. Share, there we go. So yeah, I'm going to re-show the articles here. So Bitcoin falls 10% as China intensifies on crypto crackdown. So those are FUD articles. FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt creation. Naturally, this is happening, nothing to do about it, but gives us the opportunity to debunk a few myths, which I was busy trying to do here. So that's fine. More on that later. As the other article was talking about this one, and got here. So I'm going to re-show the tweet. So that's from 10th of June. Great day, up and recovering once again. I'm going to show it on CoinGecko here. 10th of June. Go back even further. We're about here. So made an all-time high before it came crashing down once again. So there was the FUD, there was a crackdown, attempted FUD that might have tried to counter good news of El Salvador adopting BTC. Like I said, other countries are following suit with El Salvador. Follow-up decision from May 24th, which can be found here. Okay. However, now let's get into the main meat here. Extremely bad news. In case you believe the 70% of mining of BTC in China myth, with which I refer to the statement that even Elon Musk mentioned, that 70% of all mining occurs in China. This isn't true, and it can be made more obvious today. So like I said, this is a website. I can show you guys it here. To refresh it, which shows the current hash rate present on the Bitcoin blockchain. So there are a few dips here, but we're still nicely at the 120 million terahashes a second. On that later, so that's the article. The FUD would be real if I showed you guys this graph. That's still from June 10th, where you can see, oh no, it dropped down a significant 70% of the total hash rate. Not entirely true. I'm going to let you guys, well, I'm going to refer towards the I-axis here. Went from slightly over 180 million up until 140 million. On the daily chart in the last 24 hours, it might seem it's more than 70% it has fallen. Yeah, didn't do the calculation, it might be less, so my apologies here for all math teachers. But there's a tremendous amount which has fallen down, even more so today. However, like I mentioned, follow-up post, and to have confirmation of the myth, should then imply about 70 of hash rate to fall down. 70% of the total hash rate, which implies this graph is to be applied. What do we see here? That's 0. That's all-time highs. So we are at a 180 level. And what do we see here? Back in June 10th, when the crackdown occurred, well, there was a little dip. I put it on 30-day average for all time. And you can see it's really a small blip. So question, China isn't, yeah. And basically it boils down that China isn't really a Bitcoin mining hub. Total hash rate to date, put in all time, and you might see, okay, it crashed further down. However, we're still at 120 million terahashes, which isn't, well, it dropped down, but it isn't down with 70%. Plus 70% level should be about here at the 40 million terahashes second rate. So we're far from it, and China has cracked down, and all miners are moving away from China. Which brings me to another nice opportunity. Hash rate is going down. With that, naturally follows the value of Bitcoin. So that's the second reason why it's falling down, next to the increased purchasing power of the USD dollar in the last 30 days. But this confirms something else I've been saying for a long time. Chinese Bitcoin mining company delivers first machines to Kazakhstan. Currently, people are saying, well, the geocentric location of all Bitcoin mining is in China. I've been debunking that myth for a very long time, for a very long time. Well, apologies, by stating, well, they aren't really mining in China. What is happening is that most of the mining pools for Bitcoin are present in China, and the mining pools, well, naturally they mine Bitcoin, but in reality, practically seen, they aggregate all the different hash rates from around the world in a central place. So that implies that it's actually one big data center and not a mining center, as indicated here on screen, which is obviously photoshopped. What's the difference between the two? Well, if you aggregate something, it means you bring something together. Mostly, in this case for Bitcoin, hash rates are the results of computational power from around the globe. The mining pools, majority of them being Chinese, have actually branched to various miners which are placed globally around the world, so about everywhere, can interlink their mining rig towards a data center or mining pool located in China. That mining pool becomes a center point whereby everything comes together. And in a certain sense, it gives the false idea that all mining occurs in China, which isn't true. It's entirely decentralized. So what happens here is, well, as the crackdown occurs, mining pools are also closing down. Generally, with a mining pool are also mining centers attached to it to naturally aggregate all hash rates, but also contains data centers and naturally their own mining rigs. So what is happening is an entire close down of these institutes, which gives a down period of the miners. But as the title might suggest, mining and mining will continue going on. Nonetheless, by reason, well, China does not have all mining pools of Bitcoin in its geolocation. There exist mining pools in the US, Europe, and in Russia. This here implies that the hardware from these mining pools are now being distributed towards other geolocations. First machines are going to Kazakhstan. There's another article I've read and seen whereby other batches are being transported towards Texas, USA. So this implies that this little down trip here to 120 million is only temporal, and we might see re-increase in hash rate towards the 180 levels or an even continued higher hash rate in short term, as soon as all the machines have been transported and put back into use. This is temporal, the downside of the hash rate. What they say, it's always best to look at 130-day to the 30-day average, and you see we're still at average 140 million. So that's barely the 70% people have been touting here. It refutes the 70% of mining of Bitcoin occurring in China. Everything is being locked down there. I'm pretty sure there are still some pirates around which are still mining cryptocurrency without knowledge of the Chinese government. By reason, well, you cannot control each and every citizen 100%. So there might still be individual miners, but hooking up their rigs towards, well, other mining pools located in Poland, in the US, in Europe, etc., etc. So the downside isn't as tremendous as it should be. So that debunks a major myth. Furthermore, going to continue with my treat. So this proves that China isn't a Bitcoin mining hub. It was the central geolocation for mining due to having the most amount of mining pools, but everything's moving now about towards Eastern Europe, Texas, USA, etc. And that's exactly what's happening here. So that's the prediction I made 10th of June. That miners will change mining pool. It's correct. This one underlines that statement. So this means I cannot overtake, blah, 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 blah. Further evidence, more than half a Bitcoin and ignore all its Bitcoin miners. That's the FUD, but as usual, as you can see here on screen, highly exaggerated. Yeah, that's some shilling I did. So that's what I wanted to tell you guys today, where it concerns. I'm going to remove it from here. So that's a little bit my predictions for the forthcoming week. That's also what I wanted to share with you guys where it concerns the China crackdown. So crackdown is occurring. It is having an influence on the markets. It is one of the main reasons why the market tends to be bearish at the moment. However, it is being combined with an increased purchasing power of the US dollar. However, do not be afraid by reason as shown on screen. I'm going to show it once again here. If zoomed out at the 30, well, on the monthly basis, we are still within range between the 40K and 30K level. So for traders, resistance is at about 32K. This one's actually lower. If you want to be sure, at around 30K level, but true value around 30K. 32, my apologies, range up somewhere till 40K where the resistance is being met. Are we going sideways? I believe we still are, especially when considering the graph here for the last 3 months. It becomes obvious we're still sideways level. This indicates we might be slightly bearish. However, last week when we were here somewhere, also set an indication we might become bullish. So on a weekly basis, it varies. However, I dare say still going sideways. 1% might be the case. We will be going further down, so below the 30K level. That's not entirely impossible. However, I dare say for the forthcoming week, just keep in mind going sideways at 40K and 30K range. So yeah, it's my trading tip for today. And with that, I'm going to conclude this episode of Blockchain Talks. Hope you guys like the information I've given here, the little update, the additional parameter when trading to keep an eye out on what USD Tether or any stable coin being pegged to the value of the USD dollar is doing. If you notice that it's being highly volatile, especially expressed in another currency apart from the US dollar, so Tether, for example, being expressed in euro, and you see it becomes highly volatile and that there's an uptick, that's an indication that we might see a bearish trend. It confirms it. High volatility on those stablecoins also implies something's happening with fiat currency, and that the market is being, well, slightly uncertain, that things are moving. So might be the case we are going further up, might be the case we are going further down. Considering its current price setting, I believe we are going to have a small dip before we bounce back up towards, once again, the 40K levels somewhere. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast. Like and subscribe if you like it, if you want to support me. Down below are some links to get you started and to help me out having more qualitative live streams. Thank you guys for watching, and up until next time. Bye.